Hello, this is Chris Cooks, and I'm Chris. This is brought to you, the producer of this show is Carson Hager. And we're going to cover 5 kind of issues that are ideas. There are at least 5 things about cooking that I want you to keep in mind before you kind of start getting serious about it. And the reason is I want you to be successful. So we're going to go over 5 things. I learned to cook 50 years ago, partly out of necessity, I had to eat, and partly because I just loved watching cooking shows. And we did our first show and talked about my heroes, Jeff Smith, Julia Child, Graham Kerr, Paul Prudhomme. It's just spectacular ways to cook. But in every case, they loved what they did. It was more important to be brave and have fun than to worry about making the perfect meal because it was always made with love. So when we come back, I'll start. So on number 1, we're doing 5 areas that I want you to pay attention to. And the first one is when you cook, you're very likely to have something sharp in your hands. And there are some skills that make it safer. But there's also some traditions. This knife, very cool, is probably 50 years old. I got it 40 years ago. A friend of mine gave it to me.
Don't keep saying that.
I want you to think about how to keep a knife sharp, how to use one, because you need to be able to cut things safely. So that's first one. Second one is, it's really important to be able to measure things. And this is just a nice set of measurements, but it's important to know that there are 3 teaspoons in a tablespoon, little things like that, because good recipes will tell you how much goes in. And cup, half cup, quarter cup, third cup, how many ounces in a cup? 8, half a cup is 4 ounces. You'll need to be able to remember those things because recipes will give you different things. All great chefs have maybe 2 or 3 areas they cook. Cooking for meals, dinners. Cooking for candies and desserts. The candy and desserts are specific measurements. I mean to the T. Good chefs have a sealed notebook where their secret measurements for candies and desserts are. For turkeys and hams and steaks and all that, just know what a pinch here or an idea there is. There's not specifics for those kinds of dishes, but it is important to know the difference. Don't forget to like and subscribe and come back for more tricks, tips, and inspiration. Number 4 is to understand something with your senses, touch, feel, smell, sight, what high temperature is, what medium temperature, what low temperature is. Chefs I've known, you might be think silly about it. They touch food, they see food. If a steak is cooking and they want to know how well it's done or how rare or whatever it is, they can just touch it. Not so much just for temperature, but for whether it springs or comes back. You need to know the difference between a high temperature oven, 500, 550 degrees, medium temperature oven, 375, 350, a low temperature. One of the best times I cook barbecued ribs, I cook them at low temperature for like 4 hours, 225, 250. Just get familiar with those kinds of terms and what it means. If you use a stove with gas, what low heat when you saute something, what high heat is when you boil something. Those are all subjective, but you learn them. And don't be afraid to make a mistake. If you make a mistake, what's the worst that can happen? You cook it again. There's no harm in trying something that doesn't work. I can tell you my favorite dessert to make is creme brulee. A third of the time, it comes out like scrambled eggs. It's just the nature of the beast. But when it's good, oh my gosh, it's the best dessert in the whole world. Be brave. Be willing to try something. I did a dish years ago, sauteed shrimp with raspberries. Turned out great. People had asked me to do, can I do my raspberry shrimp dish? Just happened to work. What would have happened if it had been terrible? Nothing. I'd have tried something different. Be brave. Do your best. Don't be afraid to try something. And have fun. This is Chris Cooks. I'm Chris. Have a great day.